When I was 17 years old, I was watching TV with my dad on the couch, and the World Series of Poker was on.
Sam Farha looks at a Jack-10 and bets $100,000 to Moneymaker, who quickly calls it.
The main storyline is Chris Moneymaker, 30-something-year-old accountant from somewhere in the Midwest, kept plowing through the fields of pros.
Chris Moneymaker checks now over to Sam Farha, who throws in a bet of $175,000.
And he ends up beating all of them besides one, Sammy Farha, who's a legend in the gambling world.
Okay, I'll go all in. Let's go.
I'll call. Sam Farha goes all in, and Chris Moneymaker's going to call it.
He's Lebanese, he has a suit, has a cigar in his mouth, has a smirk. He's like the epitome of a professional gambler.
And with two pair, Chris Moneymaker, a statistical improbability to win this title at the outset, is now closing in on making it an incredible reality.
Chris Moneymaker, he was kind of like this average Joe. Everyone could relate to him. And Moneymaker beats him. It was, Cinderella story.
This is beyond fairy tale. It's inconceivable.
And at that point in time, I knew it right then. I'm like, wow, I want to do this for a living. I'm Andrew Robl, and I'm 22 years old, and I'm a professional poker player.
This is my personal assistant, Lindsay. She is amazing. Without her, my life would fall to pieces.
How are you? Very good bartender.
She is the best.
First time. Must be my sparkling personality. I don't know.
My name's Alessandro Attilio Schiavi. I do all the catering for all the poker players in town. Did the greatest parties in town, work with all the best people, enjoying life, all the most beautiful women. Living the dream, my friend.
The lifestyle I live and everything, it's about getting, more money, more girls, more colors, more toys. And, it's addicting. You get addicted to a lifestyle like that. At the same time, I don't think it really is what gonna make me truly happy. This is something, I struggle with, and I'm like, who has a better life? Someone who, is like a Buddhist monk, and they sit around and they meditate, for 20 hours a day. They have good relationships, with their family and the monks in the monastery. Or, someone who is living the so-called life, and is just flying around the world on private jets and going out and, popping 20 bottles of Dom every night.
I went down yesterday. I lost 600 grand in the market. I went down to get even. I only won 120,000. I mean, I don't understand. I go home, behind for the day.
I do think, the Buddhist monk is probably a happier, more content person, but, for whatever reason, I think most people strive to be more like the person, who is flying around the world partying on, their private jet. It's just American culture and Americans, version of success. I like how you liked me from the first time you met me.
I didn't.
You told me already.
No.
You told your friend.
I was interested because you were young and smart, which is not very, common. Yeah. Especially the guy 22 years old, usually I wouldn't even talk to you because you're too young.
Yeah. Right now I'm dating a girl. Her name's Mila. She's a nice girl. She's a model. She's Russian. What I like about her is she has like a very adventurous spirit. Like, you know, she moved to America basically knowing no one, you know, went to college here and, you know, didn't know anyone and started a whole new life. And I think that's awesome.
So did you, like, before you met me, did you have, like, any, like, conceptions of poker players, like, through Antonio or anything? Like, what did you think about poker players?
Well, you see, when I would tell anybody that they like a poker player, they always tell me, like, oh, be careful because, like, they are a gambler. They gamble on everything, and you should be careful.
Yeah. Well, I do gamble on everything. You're around me when I'm gambling all day long every day.
Yeah, but it's innocent, you know.
Yeah.
Because people lose a lot in their lives, a lot of things in their lives because of gambling.
What do you mean, like relationships?
Everything. Relationships, houses, jobs, everything.
Oh yeah, of course. But
Well, my future with Mila, like, she's 25, you know, I'm only 22, and she wants to, you know, get married and have kids within the next 2 years. And she knows, you know, I am, like, 1 million miles removed from that. You know, I'm a, you know, 22-year-old professional gambler, so we just make each other happy and we enjoy each other's company. But, you know, I don't foresee us, you know, being married or anything of that sort. Vegas is a weird world. Not so much anymore, but definitely when I first started moving out here. It's, you know, a false utopia. It's a hedonist utopia. Anything you want is at your fingertips. You can satisfy all your needs and desires, but, you know, I think at the same time a lot of people are still empty. We just sat at, like, the 1 cent 2 table and then just... Okay. Perfect. Let's play. I've been playing this guy, Mr. X. He has a lot of money from other means in poker, and he likes to play heads up. So I flew out to his hometown, and I played him in some, you know, $100,000 plus heads up freeze outs, which he crushed my soul in. Me and him played some live freeze outs, and he ended up beating me out of $275,000. So since then, I've been playing online and trying to win my money back. And I'm currently down $320,000 to him, which is a lot of money. You know, it did not go as planned. I was figuring I was going to make some money. But, you know, sometimes you don't always win in gambling.
Are you playing just with him?
Yeah. Where are you going, baby?
Water. Do you want water?
I would love a water. You want to grab me an energy drink, too?
Energy drink?
Yeah. Ooh, and I flop top set. I was thinking, please flop 2 pair and just go all in. I would love you. You know, people have asked me, why do I keep playing Mr. X if I'm stuck $320,000 to him? We have the nuts, baby. We have the best possible hand, and he folds. With Mr. X is not a professional poker player. He has his money from other sources, and, you know, I think he's a tough opponent, but I definitely think, you know, I have an edge and an advantage on him. So I think I have a really good chance of getting even against Mr. X if he continues to play me. My life is just, you know, so different from all of my friends at this point. Most of them, you know, are still in college. They're still living, you know, like the normal American life, which is like, you know, so different from the life I live in Vegas, you know, being in the casinos and nice restaurants and clubs all the time.
Okemos is like a smaller, like, middle-class town. Like, everyone goes to, like, the same college and stuff like that. No one really does anything too, like, out of the ordinary. And, like, moving to, like, Vegas to, like, gamble professionally and play poker is just something that, like, no one else really, like, heard of at the time.
Like, I think in Michigan, being, like, a poker player is kind of, you know, equated with being, like, a janitor or, like, a fast food worker. whereas in California or in Vegas or something, it would be looked at as like a very cool job. You know, especially in Vegas, like, I think, you know, it's above like lawyer and doctor and whatnot.
When I see people that I haven't seen in a while that know like both me and Andrew from like high school, they always like ask me about him, like how well he's doing and if he still like lives out there, because like it almost seems like people don't think he can like sustain his lifestyle for that long, so they always ask, you know, if he's still doing well, if he's still living out there, like almost like expecting to hear that, you know, he's moved back here and it didn't like work out for him. Whenever I tell him that, you know, he's still out there and he's doing well, that he like lives on the strip and stuff, they kind of like get a look of awe on their face, and they're kind of like amazed because they know him like the same way I like grew up with him back in high school, as like a more introverted kid, not someone who goes out on the strip and goes out every night.
Andrew, as a kid, he was a good kid, you know, pretty normal, well adjusted. He was a little kid. You'd ask him what he wanted to grow up to be. He wanted to be a professional video game player.
Oh,
and then, like, when you were playing StarCraft and World of Warcraft and stuff, you would always check the world rankings to see where you ranked.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I played football and everything too, but I would never really consider myself a jock. I would have like much rather like stayed at home and play video games for,
Yeah, I think like sports kind of got in the way of like fucking video games.
Yeah, it was definitely like not like sports was more of a recreational, and video games is more of what I took like seriously at the time.
For the longest time, we always thought he played, you know, online video games. So I thought, okay, he's gonna, you know, be a video game pro and whatever. And then after our parents split up, we moved to 2 separate houses, and so him and his buddies would come over, and, you know, they played poker games all the time. And this was like his senior year in high school.
He was still in high school, living here, and didn't tell me, but he started playing poker online.
No, I remember I'd played, like my dad would watch me play sometimes, so that's how I got into sit-and-go tournaments first, because in the top left-hand corner of the cash game tables, I'd be like, real money game or whatever.
Right.
But if you played the sit-and-go tournaments, it would just be like tournament table and then the tournament number. And, you know, all the chips, it's just like, you know, play chips because of their tournament chips, so that way he wouldn't know.
That's right, so well, you started out that way, and then you started playing for real money, but you didn't tell me that.
Yeah, well, that's what I was just saying.
Exactly.
I play the tournaments because it looks the same as the play money.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you had me fooled for a little bit.
So this is where I first started playing poker, right here on this, you know, beautiful Dalcrid computer that's been here forever. And I guess I'll just sit down and get on the computer. My dad used to, you know, sit behind me here and spot me.
It was kind of entertaining. I'd watch him for, you know, an hour or so at a time just to see how things are going, but then I'd beg him to. I'd ask him questions, and he'd want to concentrate and say, I can't explain it right now. Just keep going.
So here I have on, this looks like all the sit-and-goes I played. So I played, looks like 449 sit-and-goes. And my ROI was 208%, which is, if anyone knows anything about sit-and-goes, like, you know, most of the pros nowadays are on at probably like, you know, 8%. So this shows you, 1, how soft the games were, and 2, how lucky I was getting at the start of my poker career.
He didn't want to have a regular job. He didn't want to have a normal life. He, you know, I think that's something that he kind of would seek out, is to, you know, he wanted to be famous, wanted to get on TV and all that.
And that's when you kind of thought, okay, you know, maybe he's not just going to go to school and be a businessman, and maybe that's not for him. So.
Yo, we gotta hold up V's. We all gotta hold up V's.
If you can get sponsored in any way, shape, or form, that's just, I mean, that's all gravy, of course. I mean, you're playing poker, and you're usually making, if you're any good at it, you should be making pretty good money. But if you can get sponsored to the point where these websites are paying your tournament entry fees, you're playing for free on their sites, maybe you're getting an hourly amount to play on their sites and that kind of thing, that can amount to, you know, several $100,000 a year.
Getting well known is a goal of a lot of players, partially just because what comes with that is more money and sponsorships and things like that, but partially just because of, I guess, ego. And, you know, it's nice to, or people think it's nice, I guess, or hope it would be nice to have everybody know who they are.
Right behind me is Team Victory, ladies and gentlemen, right here. As you see it, Team Victory. What a sexy bunch, a group of guys.
I think for a lot of internet players, there's two sides of it. Some are ready for the celebrity and ready to be recognized and relish in it. And there are other internet players who would rather stay behind the computer, but and aren't really ready to embrace the poker celebrity, but it's part of the game now.
Biggest pot set, huh? Oh, I can't call. Wow, he got there. He made the wheel. He called my raise on the flop with the nut low. The flop was ace 5 jack and a 3-bet pot, and he bet and I raised and he called. And then he obviously rivers a 3. How could he not river the 3? The main reason people get into poker is, you know, a lot of them won't admit this, but they have, you know, a part of them that's a little bit sick. You know, they have a little bit of the addictive personality or the gambling addiction, and that's the reason they get into poker.
I cannot imagine doing this for 17 hours.
You know, I'm a hard worker.
Yeah.
And then I think out of those people, you know, the people who work the hardest, who are the most intelligent, you know, and who can be the most disciplined, you know, who can kind of control their sickness, are the people who are ultimately going to be successful. How many push-ups can you do, Terrence?
Like, in middle school, I had the record.
Who cares what you could do in fucking
No, I'm saying, like, remember when the Army people came and I had to go in front of everybody in the lunchroom? I did, like, 65 then.
That's pretty good.
So, from then to less smoking and alcohol, I'll put that in half. I bet I could do probably, like, 50, I'm not sure.
When I go back to Michigan, you know, I love to see my old friends. I love hanging out with them. They're still the same good guys, you know. They knew me before I had any type of success, and I love them.
I think the first time I ever realized what, like, a huge deal it was and how, you know, he was doing was the first time we saw him on TV. And that was just crazy. I was like, that's my brother, and he's on TV, and, like, you know, they're announcing his name, and it was just really strange, so.
Like, my parents have seen you on TV, Andrew, on, like Poker After Dark and stuff. Yeah. They think it's so weird because, like, you know, they remember, like, us as, like, the little kids who were, like, got caught, like, sneaking out. Yeah. At, like, sleepovers and stuff like that. And you're, like, on TV playing for, like, tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I know, like, my mom, whenever you lose a pot, she'd feel bad. She's like, I don't want Andrew to lose any money.
What do you tell her?
I was like, it's okay. I think he's used to it by now. Yeah. Or I hope he is.
I think when I realized Andrew was making, you know, that kind of money playing poker online, it was when he was going to MSU and he was paying his own tuition. I'm like, wow, you know, he's really making some money. So I think that's when I really started to wake up and read his blogs and, you know, figured out what's going on in his life with this online poker playing. So.
When I first went into college, I was like, wow, like, I need to take this seriously now. You know, I actually went to all my classes, I was studying. And then I started to make more and more money, you know, playing poker. I was playing $200 buy and sit and goes. So for every one of those you won, you'd make like $800. And, you know, I had my ROI calculated. I was making like 10%, you know, ROI, which was like $20 a sit and go. And I was playing like, you know, 12 an hour. So I was, you know, making over $200 an hour at the time. And I ended up dropping all of my classes and just basically sitting in the dorm room playing poker for, you know, 8 hours a day. I actually had a routine where I'd, you know, play poker for 4 hours, then I'd chug a Red Bull, go to the gym, lift weights, come back, drink another Red Bull, and play for, you know, another 8 hours. And then, you know, I was maybe going out partying like once or twice a week. And then actually after I first dropped out, like, I went on like a sick upswing. Like, I think I made like $70,000 playing sit and goes in like a month. which for Synagos, that was like, you know, like epic. That was like one of the best months anyone had ever had. I think I was very lucky, you know, for that to happen to me. Because if I would have like dropped out of school and then went on a bad run, you know, and had like 2 like break-even months or losing months, I think it would have definitely like got into my head at that point, and I was like, oh, you know, maybe this isn't for me. I remember one day I was about to go to the casino in Windsor where there was like a 10-20 no limit game with one of my friends, and I was coming up to the dorm, or I was about to leave the dorm, and I go to leave. I open the door, and my dad is out the door, and he just looks like distraught.
I got a call from the school, from the administrator there, saying, Mr. Robl, did you know that Andrew hasn't been attending classes, and but he's still living in the dorm, and we're trying to reach him because if he's not attending classes, he can't live in the dorm anymore.
My dad is like, blah, 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 you know, we need to have a talk. I was like, and my friend was here, like we were about to go to the casino, and I told my dad, I was like, no, you know, I'm busy right now, we can have a talk later, and he was just like, no, we need to have a talk now. My dad was like, he was not okay with it.
No, I wasn't happy at all at that point.
Retrospect.
No.
Yeah. He was basically almost in tears. It's like one of the only times I've seen my dad cry. So we went and we talked to like the guidance counselor and whatever, and I told my dad I was thinking of doing this and whatever.
She wanted to know the reason why you were dropping out of school. I remember that.
No, I think you told told me to tell her the reason.
Well, yeah, I did tell her.
I remember him saying, he was like, you know, like, tell her what you're going to do, you know? So I told her, I was like, you know, I'm dropping out of school, I'm going to be a professional poker player. And then I remember she just, like, looked at my dad, and she was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. The lady was horrified, too.
Yeah,
she thought it was like the worst thing she had ever heard in her whole life.
Yeah, she was. She said she had seen other kids that had gotten into gambling and stuff, and you know, lost everything. So she was thinking, you know, that was the same thing was going to happen to you. So
I honestly, like, I was upset. My dad was upset, but I found this all kind of silly, as you know, I'd been a consistent winner now for, you know, almost a year, you know, and the stakes I was playing online were like, you know, several times bigger than any game that was even spread at the Indian casino.
You know, after talking to Andrew, I realized, you know, he'd really thought about it a lot. He thought about what's the best strategy, how best can I play the game. So I thought he was approaching it the right way. And, you know, he did convince me that there was a skill element involved in poker as opposed to just pure gambling, which makes a lot of sense. And so, you know, what he told me was, you know, he wasn't going to go into gambling, he was going to just be playing poker.
I think dropping out of school was, you know, the right decision for me, and I can't say I really regret it at all at this point. How much money would you personally need to drink this bottle of soy sauce and then eat all the wasabi and all the ginger? What's your answer, Alex?
I said $500.
$500.
Dude, that's instant food, man. Dude, I'd do it for $100.
All right, I'll give you $100. Do it right now, kid.
Wait, don't you have like blood pressure problems or something? Yeah. All that stuff. Well, I can do it fine. I'm allowed to pick it up.
$100. Yeah, you have to finish it all before you puke, or else you don't get it. You have 10 seconds to accept.
Dude, take off the tab, sir. $100, dude. $100. That's like 100 titties in your face. I'm gonna puke though. I need to puke that up, or I'll fucking like.
You can puke afterwards.
Dude, $100. Yeah, but I've never won $100. Dude. $100, dude. Oh, think about what you can do with that money. He's gotta eat this too. Fuck it. All right, I'll do it. Oh my god. I did not think he was actually gonna.
I just thought there was no chance.
This is a bet, so I'm like, oh god.
Chug, 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 chug. Dude, what a champion, dude.
Go, man.
God, what a fat boy.
Wash it down with the wasabi, dude. He's gonna have a diarrhea.
I'm gonna go. You gotta finish.
Alright, I just have to swallow this, right?
Yeah,
go. Swallow it. And drink some water.
Oh What a champion. Beautiful flop. I won. I just won. I beat him for 25K. And you know, it feels good to finally beat him. You know, I'm still down $300,000 to the guy, so I mean, it doesn't feel great, but you know, a win is a win, whittling away.
Tell me when you're ready. I'm ready when you are.
We're ready. Action.
This is Antonio Svandieri. We're out in the desert somewhere in Las Vegas. I'm here with my degenerate friends representing victorypoker.net, and we're here to blow up an RV.
We have a bunch of machine guns, some pistols, a sniper rifle, and a bunch of propane tanks, along with Dan Blitz, who is an ex-Navy SEAL, and we're going to blow into hell.
Hey, that's what you guys need to figure out. I don't give a shit how you want to do it, but you guys could, you know, in the beginning, shoot out the window, shoot out the tires, and then come down here and fuck around, or we could just shoot it up with regular guns, and then at the end, go up there like
I think what we should do first is spray paint it and get it like looking how we want it.
Well, that's for sure. So you guys, yeah, whoever's on spray paint detail, get that shit done now.
I think that, you know, making professional gamblers essentially role models. You know, maybe it's a little more, I guess, risky than other professions, but there are plenty of good role models in poker.
Action!
So I don't think it's all that bad. I think that it's kind of a responsibility of the people in the spotlight to consider the fact that people are looking up to them.
All right, whenever you guys are ready, 2, 3, victory!
Yeah.
Las Vegas is a mecca for gambling in general, and that just includes poker. You know, so when I moved here, I started playing a lot of live poker. A lot of people gave me a lot of shit at first, a lot of, you know, the old guard. Because, you know, I'd come in, I'd buy in for $50,000, you know, and they'd be like, you know, who is this kid? At first, I didn't really know how to handle myself. Because here I was 21, you know, and there was all these guys, you know, in their 40s and 50s, just like giving me shit, you know, and just like busting my balls all the time. They figured it like I was just some dumb kid, you know, and I've been around, you know, for over 2 years now, and, you know, the big cash games, and they haven't busted me yet, so. You know, everyone besides 2 people in the game are professionals, who are Alan and Bob, and Bob is, you know, trying to bust every professional poker player in Vegas. I don't even know why we invite him to games. We're convinced we can beat him, but he hasn't lost in about a year and a half, so. So the update on the game is I'm now stuck like $50,000, so the day is not going as planned. I lost some big pots where I tried to make a big bluff. I won some big pots too. Like, it's just like the game's playing really big, you know, every pot is $40,000, so you change can think fast, but you know, I'm used to playing in these big live games, and it's just they play so big, you know, you can't let, like, you know, being up or down affect you. So I'm just planning on getting back in there, you know, and kicking some ass.
There's stories all the time of people that get involved in gambling and lose all their money. And that's one of the things that you worry about, you know, as a parent, you know, is that something that, you know, with my son, and, you know, Is that something that we should be worried about? And so that's one of the biggest things.
I think he knows if something's not going right, that he needs to just stop, take a step back, and like reevaluate, I guess. With poker, if he thinks it's too overwhelming, he'll stop and, you know, take a week of vacation and just not worry about poker and then come back to it. So, you know, I think there's always that risk and there's always that chance that something could go wrong with anything, but I think he knows how to handle it and step away from the situation.
You know, Andrew could basically choose to do whatever he wanted. You know, he was a very smart kid. He's going to college. He's making very good grades. But if you choose to, you know, to, let's say, play poker as a professional, if it doesn't work out, you know, what are the options or alternatives at that point? And, you know, that's the kind of things you worry about. And then, you know, are you limiting yourself in what you're going to be able to do going forward if it doesn't work out? So.
One more each side. And one. Good. Stick him down.
Right here?
Yep.
I know. Nothing like working out when it's 105.
How often do you guys come out and work out in the heat like this?
Well, I mean, I work out 5 days a week, but in the heat, it's just for special occasions.
Yes. Yeah, we're usually in a nice 70 degrees.
So I had a terrible day gambling yesterday, or a terrible week, so I came outside to punish myself. So on my way out here today, Mr. X called me again, and he wanted to play me in some more $50,000 matches, but you know, and like a few years ago, if like, you know, someone I thought wasn't very good called me, told me he wanted to play him for like 48, 72 hours at a time. But today things just hadn't been going well. So I decided, you know, it's probably best to get a workout, get in a good state of mind, and, you know, he's a degenerate, he'll play me anytime, so just play him on my terms.
Oh, exactly. That is some aggression.
I'm now down $370K to Mr. X, which sucks. I mean, it's not fun to lose that type of money to anyone, you know. I've had a really swingy year in poker. It's like, I might even be like even on this year, which is fucking sick, because I've had, you know, like it's like I'll go and I'll have one huge 6-figure month, and then it's like the next month, you know, I guess have a big drop, and you know, a lot of it is just because I'm playing higher stakes than I've ever played before. There's only so much you can like disassociate yourself from the money, you know, and not think about like, wow, I could have done so much with that money, and you know, it's just gone. A lot of people only see, you know, like the glamorous upside of poker, you know, the balling out of control, flying around the world, you know, all the money, the partying, the girls, and you know, this is part of it too. Poker, you know, is one of the most high-stress jobs there is, I think. Not that I've ever had a job to compare it to, but it's my opinion. You know, I think about, like, sometimes I lose a lot, but, you know, poker has given me so much, like, and it's really asked for so little in return. So it's just important to keep that in perspective when you're running bad.
feels like I got to go to the dinner party and entertain all my customers.
At least for me, before poker, I was kind of lost. I had no idea, what I want to do with my life. I found like this amazing game, that I got engrossed in, and I, tried my hardest to be the best at.
I mean, laughs because he knows it's the truth.
He already tried to get me to go play poker with him.
I wanted to be a professional poker player since, I was like 16 years old. So in one way, I guess it achieved my dreams.
I've come a long ways from, college, where I'd buy, like, my Mickeys, and drink them out of 40 ounces. Now we just drink Dom out of the bottle. Well, I feel amazing. I've had a bad week gambling, but it's not my first bad week gambling. And, I had a good night drinking with all of my best friends. And now we're going out to continue the party.
I think the thing I like most is the freedom, to not have to wake up at 8 in the morning every day, just sleep in, just do what you want on your own time, like, all the time. I don't know, that's... I lost 500K this week. How great can I really think poker is?
That one's open? Oh yeah, this one right here. So we put 2 out front just to shoot for kicks.
We just got invited out here today. We're getting ready for the boys to blow up that RV. We're about to see some fireworks.
All right, we ready?
Yeah, cameras rolling.
This is it, right? This is the moment.